Hey everyone! So a lot of people have heard about invoice pricing on a new car, but I bet very few people actually know what that means. Your friends might even say, I got a car below invoice, but that doesn't necessarily mean they got a good deal. So today we're going to walk you through what it is and why. My name is Cordell from With Clutch, and this is Changing Gears. Buying a car can be hard, but it can be even harder when you're trying to understand exactly how a new car is priced and why. And to add to additional complexity, manufacturers make these terms incredibly confusing, so it's very difficult to understand what is a true price can and should be. We're going to walk you through a few terms to make it a little easier. The OEM gives us two basic prices that the consumer knows about. The MSRP, which this is the manufacturer's suggested retail price, or the same price you might see on a window sticker. This is typically the much higher price. As you might guess, almost no vehicle sells for its sticker price anymore. Although at the time of filming this, inventory is very low and pricing has a little less negotiation. But we know that this is going to be a short-term issue that will be resolved. The other term is the invoice price. This is the price the manufacturer charges the actual dealership for the car. However, and this is important to note, the dealer's invoice doesn't include any of the credits, volume incentives, or expense offsets that typically come with selling a new vehicle. So it's not a reflection of the actual cost. The difference between the selling price and the invoice is often called front-end gross margin. It's how much markup the dealer is charging as their profit. Because the invoice doesn't really include any of these items, it's not a reflection of the true cost, and cars often sell below invoice. In fact, many dealerships run on an invoice-neutral dealership, where the front-end markup is virtually zero. And some dealers often complain of other dealers being terrible businesses that they're competing against, but then they're also flying around in their private jets. Well, how can this be? First, let's walk through all of the economics that are not in the financing and the insurance products, frequently referred to as F&I. Believe it or not, there is a lot of other credits or offsets a dealership gets upon ordering or buying a car. This spans a few items. Let's talk about them. First is flooring credit. Typically a 0.5% to 1% payment to the dealer meant to offset the financing cost of the car. This all depends on how long it takes to sell the car, so the faster you sell it, the more credit you get. Next is the advertising credit. Reimbursements or payments for marketing the vehicle that can be $200 to $500 per vehicle. Next is the dealer holdbacks. This can be between 0.5% to 2% cash incentive meant for the dealership as a hidden margin, which is received after the sale or the deal has been done, also in the industry known as PAC. Lastly, the OEM often will offer compensation to the sales staff or the managers in the form of a sales spiff up to $200 per car, and the manager can get a spiff as well up to $100 to $200 per car. An example of this is when they are trying to incentivize to move older inventory. In addition to these cost offsets, the dealer also has monthly volume kickers, or an additional incentive from the OEM. In these cases, if a dealer sells beyond a target of units, let's say 30 cars a month, and compensation incentive is applied retroactively to every car sold. So in many cases, this can be $500 or more, such that you sell 29 cars, there's no incentive at all, or you sell 31 cars and you can get $500 additional compensation on all 31 cars. So that could be an extra 15 grand. It's important to note that for many of the cost offset items on a given car, that the true cost is substantially below what the reimbursements are. And this is done most likely through a sales concession from the manufacturer as well. Here's an example of a deal breakdown. We have the MSRP is $30,500 in our example. The invoice price to the dealer is $28,000. Now let's look at the offsets. We have the holdback of $560, floor credit $280, advertising credit $400, volume incentive $500, salesperson's comp $200, and last the sales manager comp at $100, which would be a net cost to the customer of $26,260. Although the margins are very small, they can certainly add up to make the deal profitable for these dealerships. Okay, so now you know that invoice price is meaningless in so many ways. What should you actually use then? One thing to remember is that a dealer might be willing to lose money on a given car. They look at the dealership from a portfolio basis, and a car that's not selling gets expensive in holding cost. and even can prevent them from ordering new cars. What this means is your best deal is going to be almost 100% unrelated to the invoice price of the car. It's powerful knowledge to have, but ultimately it comes down to the negotiation, and don't ever fall for the "I can't sell this car below invoice" gimmick. Just remember, in negotiations, if you ask, the worst they can say is no. Thanks again for joining us. If you are new to our videos, please like and subscribe. At With Clutch, our goal is to empower you as a car buyer to either refinance and get a better deal on the car you own, or help you get your next dream car. See you next time.